So let's talk about music. Album number 7.
Who will see me overthrown?
Deep Are the Eyes. That's a single, and it's a song, if I may say.
Yeah.
When the new Paul McCartney album came out in December, you said that you really liked it. And I don't want to compare, of course, but the start of the song, that could be also a way to start a McCartney song on that album.
Thank you very much. I wrote it before that, though. I wrote it in the first 2 weeks of the COVID pandemic, because we thought we had all the songs, and then we were working on it, and then I couldn't go to England, and I had to sit here in the basement, and I wrote 4 new songs just to be busy, and 2 of these songs eventually ended up on the record, which is Velvet Blue Sky and The Deep Are the Eyes. They were written here with no songs needed, really, more or less. And then now they're the singles, right? So they were the last ones to be written. I find that quite interesting, because before that, I always thought The Wild Years is the single of the record.
But I think also as well, you want to really encourage whoever you're working with. Okay, even though you've got these 10 songs, just keep writing, because you just never know.
No.
And that came out of that.
Yeah.
Because it starts with the voice is very important in the start of the song, and then it builds up from there. But how do you decide that we start with a voice and then it builds up?
No, because it was written that way. That was one that was written, but it did have a very Burt Bacharach middle eight, which I really loved, and it was too complicated. I mean, that's what they are really good at. They make things more simple. And sometimes I think it's, oh, this is too simple. But then 2 months later, I go, oh, I'm so glad I work with these guys, because my demo was way too complicated, going nowhere, too much melody. And the song being so simple, I can hear it 10 times after, you know, in loop. And it's still interesting because it's that simple. Because in the end, we just had the instrumental verse instead of that Burt Bacharach.
That was Andy's suggestion. He said,
really? Oh yeah, there you go. I think Andy is also stands a bit out. We are even more close in our musical taste, I think.
Yeah.
And Andy is a bit more straight, which is, so we would maybe keep the whole right.
Yeah. He wants to keep it simple.
And also he's also mixing it as well. So we can get quite lost in the beauty of, oh, if you put that note in, then that lovely, oh, I love that bit. Where I think he's better at seeing it as something. Not a single, but as something that when people listen to it for the first time, it's not too much of a challenge. Yeah. And it was absolutely the right decision. And these things are only decisions. Then there's not a right and a wrong. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It might have been great with the middle eight, but we decided, let's ditch it.
Don't say that.
Actually, I'm making that. It would be awful with the middle eight. Yeah. I didn't mean that at all. I don't know why I said it.
Oh yeah.
But maybe simple isn't the right word. But what I like about a lot of the songs is that it starts as you could say, a simple song, but then something very small happens, and that's what makes the beauty of the song.
Yeah, but that's the strength of many of the Novastar songs. I get that comment a lot, like it's open, but they will never, it always have this little chord change or little melody note that drops on a different chord. But the whole challenge is not only the process here, but then with working with them and in the musical arrangement to get that little thing going where you go like, oh, what? If you play a guitar, you're like, what chord is that? You know, like that little change.
A simple little shift of voicing or movement, even if the melody is exactly the same, will completely change the sentiment, and then the next, it changes how the next bit is perceived. Yeah. Just you only need a tiny little shift from what's just become, and then it sets up, hopefully, the next thing. But with this album that was slightly different, I think we got involved in the songs earlier on than the Cold Light of Monday, because I think you worked with quite a few people and you liked certain bits, so it was much harder to get rid of bits that we didn't want to happen for you. You were married to these bits. Whereas this album, it was relatively simple to say, hey, listen, just trust us. We're going to that bit that you absolutely love, we're getting rid of. Yeah. Okay, just live with it.
And I'm a melody writer, so I'll write, and then I'm so easily bored with myself. Then go, oh, I'll put some new part here. I can't have the same verse twice. That's boring. So you'll end up with a song that has 5 really beautiful parts, and then they go, no, throw that away. Yeah. Throw that away. Throw that away.
That's also what you do live. You never play a song in the same way.
I'm sort of forced to. I got lost out of boredom at one point in a career that lasts 20 years. So I'm not ashamed. Sometimes that you go into this, someone has to pull you back, right? And I had this year of craziness. I don't know why. I was not using a playlist, and everyone had to follow, which was impossible. And I sometimes start with an outro to go into the intro to go, right? Just of boredom. I don't have that anymore. No. I feel much better in my head now. This difficult phase is past, long time ago it's past. And now I'm actually performing more at ease, you see?